My name is Chester Bernaki. I was born in New Bedford, Massachusetts in 1922, so that makes me to be 92 years old. I think I participated in about 13 naval engagements with the Helena. While we were in Pearl Harbor, I went ashore December the 6th with a couple of buddies of mine. We went over on the beach and went to the YMCA. Next morning, it was a weekend, and I had liberty again. One of my buddies, Charlie Cioffi, that was with me that night, had the duty, so he was standing the 8 to 12 watch that morning on the quarterdeck. And what I remember about it is I woke up December the 7th, went and had breakfast, got cleaned up, had breakfast. Then I went down to my Foot Locker and opened it up and took my shoes out to shine them up because I was going to go on liberty that day again. And while I was shining my shoes, I got to thinking something's wrong, and I just had an uncomfortable feeling. I said, I think I'll go up topside and have a cigarette. And just as I started to go up topside, the general alarm went off. And it said, General Quarters, all hands, this is no kidding. Of course, they didn't use that word. And on my way up to my mount, my General Quarters station, just about the time I got into the mount, there was a big explosion. And the ship shuttered, we put ourselves manned and ready and started firing. And as soon as there was a lull, went out on deck to clear the casings off of the deck. And that's when I looked over toward the Battleship Rowan, which was just black with smoke and boats running all over the place, picking up survivors and whatnot. From what I understand, we were the first ship to get hit in Pearl Harbor. When the torpedo hit us, some of the damage control stations weren't closed, the hatches, and the flare went up through the ventilation system and came down over the top of the quarterdeck where Charlie Cioffi was, and it burned him practically to a crisp. But he survived. Ended up in a hospital over there in Pearl Harbor. There was about 8 or 10 guys that I went through personally with boot camp with that were in the forward fire room and forward engine room that were killed that day. So I don't talk about this stuff too much because sometimes it bugs me, even to this day. We heard that Japanese fleet was coming down to Kula Gulf, Kula Bengara, and so there was three of us cruisers, I think, and 4 tin cans that engaged the Japanese 10 destroyers. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and because we had run out of bomb ammunition, and all we had aboard was bombardment ammunition, which was not flashless. When we fired, we exposed ourselves in our position, and we got hit by one torpedo that took the bow completely off at turret 2. The ship just shuddered like you can't imagine when we got hit. No bow, and we were going through the water, I guess, about 10, 15, 20 knots. And so when the bow was blown off, you could hardly stand up. Everybody was knocked down on deck. And then as soon as we lay dead in the water, we were hit again with 2 torpedoes amidship. Well, the what's his name hit the fan. Everybody, all the lights went out inside the mounts. Didn't know where we were at, and all I could remember when the gun captain told us to get out of the mount was the life jackets. So when I got out on deck, having the light inside and then hitting the darkness, everything was really dark. I reached up for a life jacket, and there wasn't any there, which was right amidship, right above where we were hit. And the next thing I can remember is I felt the teak wood decks snapping where the ship was starting to break in half, fold in half like 2 arms reaching up, and started going down, and all I could think about is get away from the side of the ship, get away because you might be sucked under the water. So I swam out without a life jacket, and I guess I swam around for about maybe a half hour, and I looked back at the ship, which was slowly sinking, and it looked like it was asking to please stay up. All I could think about was in the water was, I had kicked my shoes off, I remember that, to make it easy to swim, and then I realized I had white socks on, and then by paddling my feet, and they filled up with water, and I thought, oh my God, they must look like lures. And I was afraid maybe the sharks would think that that's what they were, and so I decided to take them off. So I was barefooted. And the oil and stuff that was on top of the water, a good thing that there was no fire. But there was oil all over the top of the ocean there, and it burned your eyes and your skin, and it was all that heavy crude diesel oil, almost like tar. Anyway, I swam around looking for other people who were looking for a life raft, and finally I found one. It wouldn't allow you to get in the life raft because that was reserved for people that were hurt. So I was so tired, my arms just hung inside the lifelines on the outside of the life raft. And then as if by a miracle, here comes a life jacket. I put on a May West, and then there was a pneumatic life jacket which fits around your waist. I found it usually works with a CO2 bottle, but the CO2 bottle was dead. So I blew it up myself, so I had a life jacket around my waist and the May West there. Well, I hung around on the side of the life raft for a while, and then I noticed there was a ship laying alongside, not far from us. And I said, I'll try to swim over there and get aboard the ship, but not knowing what type of ship it was until I got pretty close to it. As I got close to it, I noticed it was a Radford. And just as I started to get aboard the ship got underway and pulled away from me. So there I was again, all by myself. And then while I was swimming there, the Nicholas come alongside, and they had cargo nets over the side. This was right while the battle was taking place. Anyway, I got aboard the cargo net and went aboard, climbed aboard above or below the torpedo tubes that are on the destroyer. And she got underway and went down the other end of the bay and participated more of a battle with sinking another Japanese ship. Anyway, one of the ships that we engaged with that night later on is a Japanese ship that cut the PT-109, Jack Kennedy's ship, in half, or sunk it. Anyway, after the battle was over with, we we headed for Tulagi over by Guadalcanal, and we pulled in there, and all the ships and all the people that were on the beaches, the sailors and soldiers and Marines, they saluted us, which made you kind of, you know, you made your skin crawl to think about your buddies thinking about you that much. Anyway, after war was over, I don't envy these guys that come back, not a bit. I know what it's like. I know people that were in Nam and Korea that really got fouled up over this kind of life that you have to go through in the service. I can remember that I didn't think about it at the time because we used to call it war neurosis in them days. I believe that I had a little touch of it, or maybe a lot of it, which I didn't realize I had, that post-traumatic syndrome. But it followed up my life, I think, in a lot of different ways. I get to thinking about some of the things that happened. I got to the point sometime where I didn't care. I never did feel bad about the Japanese people, but the military was something else. I'm really proud that I had the chance to serve my country, and all the guys that go out there that do what I did. I didn't think things were going to turn out like they did in the beginning, but because they turned out like they did, I'm glad I had the training to put up with what I did, and all my buddies. I still think about them.